Now presented to you by Junior.
Good afternoon, Gladys Sambo. Bonjour à tous. Bienvenue à l'international journal. En chirurgie endoscopique le 25.
The leaders lambast the Ministry of Territorial Administration and Decentralization over the decision to prohibit political alliances in Cameroon. A new legislative has been set up a day after the decision. Mouvement Réformateur of Samuel Bilang has launched the Union for Parliamentary Majority.
Affaire de double identité, le SINAFOR demande une enquête approfondie depuis le déclenchement de cette affaire qui agite le milieu du football camerounais et est en mouvement. Le football camerounais est en mouvement. De nombreuses voix s'élèvent, soit pour se défendre, soit pour demander des comptes. Le problème du football camerounais au centre de ce 13h.
And in a lighter note, in this edition of the Bilingual Newscast, you shall discover the African spice, a jujube, known for its health and protective potentials. It is also often referred to as the peace symbol. Those were major stories. Stay tuned for developments.
Merci de regarder Canal 2 International et nous ouvrons ce journal en politique.
Of course, Junior, Mouvement Réformateur of Samuel Bilang has launched the Union for Parliamentary Majority with the objective of permitting the opposition to have more parliamentary seats in 2025. A movement, he says, will rally both political parties and the civil society organizations. Let's have the details with Haisen Shia from Yaoundé.
As other political coalitions target the presidency in 2025, the reformist movement, better known by its French acronym as Mouvement Réformateur, and its ally are diverting all attention towards the legislative elections, launching this March 13 of the Union for a Parliamentary Majority. The frontliner of the movement insists that only combined forces can outplay the ruling party during elections.
It is impossible for a single movement to win CPDM. It is very impossible. It is an obligation for us to join our means and in our country because Cameroonians need change.
The coalition is not limited to political parties.
In our website, we have 20 proposals to change our country. Every political party, we can work with people.
Making public the alliance through a press declaration in Yaoundé, Samuel Bilang reiterated that they will not adhere to any change of the electoral calendar or tolerate any form of electoral fraud.
Territorial administration, Paul Atangaji declared two political alliances as clandestine in Cameroon. They include amongst some experts, as we hear in this report put together by Morindi.
Paul Atanganji, Cameroon's Minister of Territorial Administration, has issued a bold communique declaring political alliance for change and alliance for political transition as illegal entities within the nation. This declarations has drawn mixed reactions from political analysts and experts.
He's making allusion on the fact that some associations, be it regularly registered associations or political parties, have formed alliances. But we should not forget that there is a law of 1990/56 that relates or that regulates political parties. And when you look at the provisions of that law, there is nowhere mention about coalitions of political parties.
Political analysts and observers criticize the timing and content of the minister's statement, suggesting it may be ill-advised despite the Ministry of Territorial Administration's duty to regulate political actions in Cameroon.
Let's suppose that there are 40 or 50 political associations or political parties that want to support Kamto as their president. Then all they should do is they should just dissolve and just become members of the MRC, and the problem is solved.
According to political observer Ningwayam, it will be difficult to have a single candidate from the opposition in the upcoming presidential election.
What is brewing, we are coming to a place where during the next presidential elections, the CPDM you will not hear anything like presidential majority behind the CPDM, because that also would be illegal. And so everybody should go into this election sailing on their own wings. I guess that is the message.
I think what is posing problem here is a name that has been attributed to it to give the impression that these are political parties. Because if maybe they come together, it's because here they have maybe given a name to it, attached a name to it, and that's what is posing problem. In the past, we have seen it. We have had the G20, who was also a political parties coming together to form a coalition.
Regardless of the differing opinions, the essence of a coalition remains the strategic alliance between political parties within the ultimate goal of securing a majority in the electoral context. This declaration by Minister Paula Tanganji, according to political analysts, adds fuel to the ongoing debate surrounding political dynamics and regulation in Cameroon.
And for some time now, the political landscape in Cameroon has been taken hostage by two major acronyms, the Coalition for Change and the Alliance for Political Transition. This has sent feverish hallucinations to the nerves of the government as there are moves to stifle the existence of any such move ahead of the upcoming elections in 2025. In the following commentary, Kejang Henry Atember takes at why the government has suddenly reversed from what it often accepted as the political operandi or modus operandi. Let's have this.
Political alliances have made it possible to consolidate political forces by bringing together parties with common interest. These strategic groupings have sometimes led to electoral victories that can be described as significant. The example of the Union for Change in 1992 remains the most outstanding till date. And returning to the government's attitude to this coalition or alliance project, it should be noted that the government has often adopted an ambivalent approach to political electoral alliances, fluctuating between political pragmatism and strategic mistrust. On the one hand, the government has sometimes tolerated or even encouraged certain political alliances, particularly those that help to divide the opposition and strengthen the dominant position of the party in power. Remember the G11 and the G20 in 2018, a coalition of 20 political parties of the opposition divide that announced its support for candidate Paul Biya in the October 2018 presidential election. While many saw these as self-serving opportunism, the G20 defended itself by claiming to be part of the presidential majority. These strategic alliances have very often been used to weaken political opponents and guarantee the continuity of the regime in power. In some cases, the ruling party, assimilated to the government, has even co-opted members of the opposition from within its own ranks, thus weakening the potential for political resistance. On the other hand, the government has also adopted a position of distrust towards political electoral alliances, particularly when they threaten to undermine the authority or legitimacy of the state. In such cases, repressive measures were sometimes taken to stifle opposition movements and preserve the political status quo. Arbitrary arrest, intimidation, and restrictions on freedom of expression were used to dissuade dissent and maintain control over the electoral process. One of the most striking examples of these government mistrust dates back to the 1992 presidential election. At that time, the opposition came together in the Coalition for Change with the aim of fielding a single candidate against the incumbent President Paul Biya. However, the government reacted vehemently, using a combination of political maneuvering and repression to weaken the coalition. Opposition candidates were arrested, political rallies were banned, and the electoral campaigns were marked by irregularities and violence, compromising the credibility of the electoral process. But despite these challenges, Cameroon's opposition persisted in its efforts to form political alliances and challenge the current regime. Initiatives such as those in 2004 attempted to overcome internal divisions and government pressure to present a credible alternative to the current government. However, these efforts have often been hampered by the government's destabilization tactics and internal divisions within the opposition itself.
Let's focus on in vitro fertilization.
À 52 ans, je vous le disais en titre, elle donne naissance à des jumelles via la fécondation in vitro. Après près de 20 ans sans concevoir, encore une procréation médicale assistée implémentée avec succès au centre hospitalier de recherche et d'application en chirurgie endoscopique et reproduction humaine, en abrégé CRACER. On voit cela avec Karel Mezachatchouya et Serge Alenziebou.
Ces jumelles reçoivent là les tout premiers bisous de maman, moyen d'expression de la joie qui anime cette dame de nouveau mère à 52 ans. Ça date d'une trentaine d'années, la dernière fois qu'elle a enfanté puis perdu son bébé, avant de concevoir à nouveau et perdre sa grossesse quelques mois plus tard. N'eût été le suivi médical par elle subi. Après sa fécondation in vitro ici au centre hospitalier de recherche et d'application en chirurgie endoscopique et reproduction humaine, elle aurait fait une prééclampsie au 3e trimestre. C'est donc un autre cas complexe qui vient de passer entre les mains de Jean-Marie Cassia et son équipe.
Elle a commencé à développer une hypertension artérielle et avec des chiffres de protéinurie qui augmentaient 3 fois la normale. Heureusement, on a eu ça presque à la 37e semaine et là, on a décidé de ne plus attendre.
Que du bonheur pour la maman. Elle n'en est pas à sa première tentative et aujourd'hui, elle récolte le fruit de sa persévérance.
Mon groupe de 2018.
Ces bouts de choux portent à 423 le nombre d'enfants nés via la procréation médicalement assistée dans cet hôpital, bien proche de l'objectif 500 fixé d'ici 2025. Il ne reste plus que 77 bébés.
Nous avons déjà plus de 25 qui sont déjà à pilement.
L'enrôlement se fait systématiquement et au jour le jour. Le CRACER dispose de moyens pour cela.
La fonction publique au Cameroun, pourtant très courue par de nombreux Camerounais, connaît à ce jour quelques manques de postes de travail. On voit cela dans cet élément.
7622 fonctionnaires, agents de l'État.
Le code du travail est encore à 41 000. Ce n'est pas du tout attractif. Les gens n'auront pas envie de continuer de travailler dans ces conditions-là. Donc, naturellement, ils vont démissionner pour aller chercher un Eldorado ailleurs.
Ce chiffre, révélé au cours de la réunion de coordination spéciale portant sur la phase contentieuse du comptage physique des personnels de l'État, inquiète des observateurs du monde du travail et de la scène économique.
Ce genre de comportement peut expliquer le non-atteinte des objectifs énoncés depuis longtemps de la croissance à des chiffres qu'on n'a jamais atteints pendant les 20 dernières années.
Cette information donnée par le ministre de la fonction publique et de la réforme administrative, Joseph Lé, pousse les défenseurs des droits des consommateurs à exiger de l'eau de sanction à l'encontre de ces fonctionnaires absentéistes.
Nous prenons acte et nous demandons au ministre d'aller plus loin. Il faut suspendre les salaires de ces fonctionnaires absentéistes parce que leur absence cause des préjudices énormes aux usagers.
Le fait de toucher de l'argent sans avoir travaillé, auquel beaucoup de citoyens s'y prêtent là, c'est assimilable au détournement, un détournement de deniers publics qui ne saurait être toléré davantage.
Au regard de cet état de fait, marqué par la vie chère au Cameroun, la situation va s'aggraver selon les économistes. Ces derniers recommandent à l'État du Cameroun d'encourager les recrutements dans le secteur privé en offrant des conditions plus enviables aux créateurs d'emplois. L'État doit pas
Digitalisation du système de l'état civil, il y a avancé malgré des bugs. Eh bien, le programme d'appui à la modernisation de l'état civil au Cameroun, le ministère de la décentralisation et le Bureau national de l'état civil se donnent 3 jours pour y parvenir. Voyons cela avec Karel Mezachachoya et Luc Vaudon.
Les maires de communes ici présents sont unanimes. Avec la digitalisation du système de l'état civil, l'enregistrement des actes, ceux de naissance principalement, est beaucoup plus fluide et mieux sécurisé.
Il faut 5 registres. Parfois, c'était 9 pour les actes de mariage.
Il n'y a pas eu que des avancées durant ces 20 derniers mois. Période de la phase pilote dans 20 communes de 4 régions du pays. Il y a aussi des bugs. L'énergie électrique pas toujours constante. Le manque de connexion Internet, et ce n'est pas tout.
Un grand
problème identifié. Ces acteurs du programme d'appui à la modernisation de l'état civil, du ministère de la décentralisation et du Bureau national de l'état civil se donnent 3 jours pour apporter des pistes de solution.
La digitalisation, c'est un processus continu.
Tout l'enjeu des travaux ouverts ce 13 mars à Yaoundé.
Le compte n'a été fait.
Et nous poursuivons ce journal avec vous, Sambo.
Exactly, some 20-day workshop marking the end of the 5 opened yesterday in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, first to evaluate the advantages and take notes of the mistakes committed during these years. Beatrice Gamo tells us more.
The pilot project concerns some 20 municipalities from 4 regions, the Northwest, Southwest, West, and South region, endowed with computers and softwares to ease the issuance of birth, marriage, and death certificates.
With this program, the mayor can be in the office or anywhere and validate a document. Unlike the other system, manual, where you have to be present in the office before you sign a document.
The objective of the project, ensuring the availability of this valuable document at lesser cost and time. Harmonizing the process in the coming years is good for all to be at the same level.
For example, if we are producing digitalized birth certificate, marriage certificate, and death certificates, we expect that the other councils should also follow.
Some of the errors realized.
In future, we should have seminars that will include the judiciary and those of the health facilities, so that they too should understand where and how they come in to help us produce these documents in the adequate manner it should be.
The 3-day workshop ongoing in Yaoundé is for the actors, co-financers, that is German and Korean cooperation, to evaluate and help others to pick from where they are ending.
This is just the beginning. I know that not only GIZ but also other donors are interested in what we have been doing here. For example, the French cooperation and also the World Bank.
A pilot project been executed with the help of the National Civil Status Registration Office and the Ministry of Decentralization and Local Development.
And as we announced earlier in the title, we shall lead you to an African spice to discover it. It is known by its scientific name as Ziziphus jujube. The jujube is known for its health and protective potential and it is often referred as the peace symbol. Discover that with Sherifa Saleh.
With its aroma and taste, one can think it's a candy. The African jujube seed, known by its scientific name Ziziphus jujube, is a multifunctional seed found mostly around the tropics. In the west region of Cameroon, it is called didim, or jijim. People buy it at times to go perform traditional rituals, like in the west region where I come from, while others use it to protect newborn babies. It comes from the Pygmy tribes in the east region of Cameroon. Depending on its importance, the prices vary. Each jujube can cost from 50 francs to even 2,000 francs CFA. A bag of jujuba costs 350 to 400,000 francs. The main history behind the jujuba was known in the West Cameroon for the peace it brings to homes and conflicts in our society. Medically, they are used to cure many diseases like migraines, stomach ache, and more. The African jujuba is known to bring good omens when the seeds are sprinkled in homes. It is mostly used in odd numbers. You can count 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and especially 11 grains. Either you eat or sprinkle in your homes to bring back peace. That is what people from the west region of Cameroon, especially the Bantus, use for peace and luck. It equally has a nice aroma where people enjoy eating it. At times, when you are tense, it helps calm down your nerves. Elsewhere, others just use it for its crunchy and sweet taste, while others use its aroma as ingredients in their daily meals.
And before we wrap up, let's talk sports in this newscast.
Le syndicat en charge de la défense des droits des footballeurs a adressé un courrier à la FECAFOOT en vue de demander le report d'une dizaine de jours au moins des playoffs de l'Elite One et tout, et la mise sur pied d'une commission mixte constituée des représentants des joueurs, clubs et des professionnels, des enquêtes judiciaires afin de mettre à nu tout responsable lié à cette affaire de double identité. Mathieu Fangwa les a rencontrés dans ce reportage.
La scabreuse affaire de double identité intéresse au plus haut sommet du syndicat national des footballeurs du Cameroun.
Dans un premier temps, le SINAFOC condamne avec la dernière énergie, avec beaucoup de fermeté, toute forme de fraude. Et la manipulation des âges et le fléau de double identité sont des fraudes que nous condamnons fermement. Que là, on a quand même 15 clubs sur les 19 que compte le championnat MTN Elite One qui sont impliqués dans cette affaire-là.
Pour des raisons d'équité et de justice, le SINAFOC demande une enquête approfondie pour toutes les parties impliquées dans ce scandale.
Parmi les joueurs qui font l'objet aujourd'hui de double identité, il y a ceux qui ne reconnaissent pas être dans cette situation de double identité. Donc, je crois qu'il faut effectivement nous pensons, donc il faut effectivement cette enquête vraiment approfondie pour que justement on sache qui est coupable.
Les 93 joueurs déclarés inéligibles pour disputer les playoffs pour double identité doivent bénéficier avant toute chose de la présomption d'innocence.
Il y a d'un côté le joueur qui utilise la double identité, il y a de l'autre côté le club qui introduit la demande de licence, il y a de l'autre côté les services compétents de la Fédération camerounaise de football qui délivrent la licence, et on est quand même surpris que ce soit à la veille des playoffs, donc après la saison régulière, que la FECAFOOT se décide de communiquer ou alors de ressortir cette affaire-là. On aurait dû couper court et refuser de délivrer les licences à ces joueurs-là en début de saison, qu'on n'en serait pas là.
Ils sont 93 joueurs de l'élite à avoir été rattrapés par la patrouille du système FIFA Connect via la FECAFOOT.
Nous sommes arrivés au terme de ce 13h sur Canal International de Ladissambo.
And this is where we wrap up this edition of the Bilingual Newscast on Canal International. It was actually a pleasure knowing you are watching. Stay tuned to programs on Canal International. We shall be here again tomorrow, same time, God's willing. Bye-bye.